This right here represents a category of lenses I wish was a little more common. It's a 30mm 1:1 macro lens from Fuji, known lovingly as the XF30mm F2.8 RLMWR macro. Rolls right off the tongue. I personally have a soft spot for macro lenses with a wider field of view because while they might not give you the longest working distance for serious macro work, they do give your close-ups some pretty exciting compositions. This does focus to infinity, so you could use it as a walk-around lens, but this prime's an f2.8. Not the most exciting f-stop at 30mm, but I assure you the macro capabilities make up for that. So let's first talk about the macro stuff. This is what an image out of this 30mm looks like at minimum focus 1:1 macro. You can imagine for a 30mm lens to achieve true macro magnification, you'd have to get rather close. Minimum focus is rated 10 centimeters from the center plane, but from the tip of your lens, your working distance is just over a centimeter. It's just shy of touching your subject. And if you have the included lens hood attached, you may or may not be excited to find out that minimum focus lands inside the hood. So in instances where working distance is desired, say photographing insects, this probably isn't the first lens you'd be reaching for, but as a creative tool, this is just amazing. It's like a lens whose superpower is no subject is ever too near to focus on. No matter how far down you stick it, you will always acquire focus. And I really like how much wider the field of view is compared to conventional macro lenses, which are almost always telephotos. This, you can have your subject nice and big in the frame while still having some degree of environmental context. This is internal focusing, so the front element stays absolutely put, which is crucial considering how close the working distance can be. Imagine half pressing the shutter button and your front element just linear mode catapults itself into chocolate ice cream. Did I just make a poo joke? Now the actual front element is rather tiny though, just thought I'd point that out. And on macro lenses, you generally lose quite a bit of light as you approach close focus because your effective f-stop gets darker. That, I would say, is almost a non-issue on this lens. Documentation says you only lose a third of a stop at 1:3 magnification, and it stays that way even till minimum focus. A third of a stop is not very apparent, so for me at least, I never noticed any darkening nor had to brighten my exposure as I focused towards true macro. This is a lens I personally really like, but one feature I feel is missing here is a focus limiter switch. It would be nice if you could limit your focus to just distant subjects as well as close range only. As it is, it does have a ton of range, which can be annoying if autofocus fails and it just jogs all the way back and forth. Thankfully, it is linear motor driven, so if you're using it for at-range shooting, it is a silent and snappy autofocus experience. This is a lovely focal length to use as a standard non-macro shooter. 46mm full frame equivalent, so a very versatile standard field of view. You'll probably struggle a bit with bokeh though, since it is f2.8, so if you're concerned for low light and bokeh outweighs that of macro, then the 33 1.4 is probably better worth considering. That being said, the 30mm is remarkably light though, a little under 200 grams without the hood and caps. There's one last thing I haven't talked about, and that's image quality. It's very good. I tested it with the brand new X-T5, which was released alongside this lens that's got a 40.2 megapixel sensor, so quite a bit of resolution to live up to, and this lens has performed spectacularly in that regard. Details are nicely rendered both for close-ups and distant subjects. Chromatic aberration is well suppressed. Really a lens that does not disappoint at all. You can probably tell I like this lens quite a bit. If you enjoyed my thoughts on this lens, then you might want to check out my quick look of the new X-T5 I tested it with. So maybe I'll see you over there or in one of my other videos.